Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second edition here of the College Football Betting Show provided by Fighting Chance Fantasy. Super excited. I'm Kayvon Ezami. We got my man Dan over there. And look, last week, we came in hot. 2-1, both of us. 4-2 right off the bat. We're going to get into that solo, Dan. I'm going to pass it over to you so you can break into yours. I'll do mine and all that stuff. But I just want to start out. Not bad for a first week on the Fighting Chance Fantasy College Football Betting Show here. 4-2 overall. We had a blast. I hope you guys did too. And we're here back every single Thursday to break down each week. So this is how it goes for those that are new. For those that were with us last week and are joining us this week, we appreciate you for coming back. And for those that are new, we appreciate you guys for joining on. You can follow Dan on Twitter at DanH720. And you can follow me at Kayvon_sports. That's Kayvon_sports. So this is how it works. Each week, Dan and I are going to pick a couple of bets, usually 3. Sometimes we'll go a little bit deeper depending on the card and all that stuff. But with bye weeks and all that now happening, 3 is usually what we'll do. Our third and final bet will be what we call our Fighting Chance Lock. That will be our favorite bet of the week. Both of us absolutely love that final bet. We love all of our picks. But the third one is our Fighting Chance Lock. So that's how it goes. Now, without further ado, let me bring in my co-host, Dan. How are you doing, my man?
Doing great. Yeah, just great to be back here again doing this with you, Kayvon. We are coming in hot, and it's been a great season, and it's been a great first year of real legit legal betting here in the state I'm in, and in Colorado, I should say. But yeah, it's been an even better college football season. It'll be a little better if our favorite team does what we know doesn't do what we know they're so prone to do, but we'll talk more. We'll get into that a little bit more later. For right now, I'll jump into kind of last week. Anyone that followed or were on it yourself. Let's see. We went with Air Force, first of all, against Wyoming. And that was a smash and a half. I saw other people in the industry liking that Wyoming side, and I didn't really fault them for it. I saw the reasons for it. But I myself took the side of the Air Force there. What's funny about that game was their that triple option attack. Just from a visual standpoint, I actually watched that game. It seemed like every time they ran a triple option play, it just kind of got snuffed out. But like when they ran it right up the middle, they had a lot of success. It seemed like that offensive line was just kind of pushing Wyoming around. Just the coaching, they were kind of outsmarting Wyoming's coach. And then at the end of the game, Wyoming's coach could have gone for a field goal and try to onside kick, get it back, make it interesting. They're down 10, and he decides to go for it on 4th down. That's just putting unnecessary pressure on your own team, in my opinion. And I was like, sweet, thanks, cha-ching. And then who did I pick second was my loss. That was BYU.
Yeah, Wolf. I was on that with you. That was tough.
That was brutal. I'm sorry with anyone that followed that one. That was definitely rough to watch too. I was shocked. When I saw the weather kind of sour, I know you were getting a text from me there, and I was like, it's kind of that weird weather this time in this part of the country where it's the season's changing, and I just had a weird feeling in that moment of like, ooh, I hope this works, but I got a kind of a bad feeling about it. So yeah, that was rough. We move on next week. I don't think I'm doing anything with their game with Baylor this week.
I'm not touching it. They pissed me off, man. I'm staying away.
And I try not to let anything sway me in that sense, but like I also respect what Baylor's doing right now too much. It's not even just about BYU, but anyways, that just go figures. There's teams like that'll do that to you. You kind of aren't on them when everyone else seems to be, and then you fire away, and then it doesn't work. So
no doubt.
Maybe there will be another day with BYU, but for now, adios. And then, of course, lastly for me, my favorite play last week, UTEP. What can I say? They have to be the most profitable team for most people, and myself included this season. They're just so hard to not put a solid unit on every week at a minimum.
It's incredible.
I hope some people out there, like maybe years ago when UTEP was just dog shit, like we can say that here. They are just anything but now. I mean, I think their defense is like 11th, 17th, somewhere in there, total defense in the whole country. I like the defensive schemes that their defensive coordinators dialing up when you watch them play. They make it really entertaining. You never know where the blitz is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And that play last week, if anyone out there hasn't seen it, I would like to turn around and have a video just to hold it up and play it. But literally, Southern Miss's quarterback gets the ball snapped to him, gets it stripped right away. It bounces up, goes to the running back who he was going to try to hand it off to probably, takes one bounce and goes into his hands, instantly gets chopped stripped again, and then someone else on UTEP scoops that ball up and just to the house with it, like 50 yards. I mean, that defense is so tenacious and fun to watch. It's something I'm going to be doing a lot, hint, hint, for later. But I'll just turn it right back over to you with I want to hear more about how your week went, even if it wasn't necessarily something on the show, but just in general.
Yeah, no, man. I had a great week on the show, 2-1, just like you. Now, my one loss was my best bet, which goes into your point. I stupidly went against Baylor, which I will never do for this season, man. To give perspective, and I said this when going through my best bet, for those that tuned in last week, I said, I am very impressed with what Baylor is doing right now. And with what Dave, I always get his last name wrong. I think it's Arianda. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that.
Something like that.
Yeah, but he came out, if everyone remember, he was the defensive coordinator for that LSU national championship team with Joe Burrow. And he's come over and he has completely turned this program around, kind of like what we saw Matt Rule did with Baylor in 2 years. And what he's doing, they look so good, man. Their win total coming into the season was 5. They have 5 wins already. They can pass their win total this week if they beat BYU. So, look, I thought West Virginia is a better team than their record. They played a great game against Oklahoma, which they should have won. I fell for that trap of a team that's not as good as I thought they were. So we lost that one. But the other two, Colorado State, we had them at -3. They ended up winning that game by, I think it was like 15, 16 points. It was an absolute domination. We also had
that was a great call, by the way.
Yeah, that was an awesome. I was all that there was no sweat in that at all, man. So I love those.
Over early, wasn't it? Was that a first halftime, and you're just rolling in it? I mean,
yeah, it was pretty much just like don't jinx it. Like it was some crazy thing, which has happened to me before. Some crazy thing would have to happen, but we were all good on that. And then the other one was my late night Pac-12 showdown with USC and Utah, and I had the over. I think it was over 52. Let me see right here. Yeah, so over 53. And over 52.5, and that sailed over. Utah, I also said to lean on Utah in that game. Utah ended up dominating 42-26. They just crushed them. So that went over well. So 2-1 for both of us. Look, if we can come on here and go 2-1 every single week, that's profitable, right? And I mean the goal is to go 3-0 every week. So hopefully that's what ends up happening here. But definitely a great way to start off the first show. Everyone jumping in. This is Kayvon Ezami. We got my man Dan over there. This is the Fighting Chance Fantasy College Football Show. We just went over what we did last week, 2-1 both. And now, Dan, I want to turn it over to you before we get into our picks. Again, we each have 3 picks. I want to turn it over to you on a game that me and you, like you said earlier, have near and dear to our heart. We are both Wolfpack fans, and you, my friend, are looking at the Wolfpack against Boston College, which is a big-time showdown in the ACC because of how bad Clemson is this year. It could mean something. Tell us about that game. What side are you looking at, and why? This isn't one of your plays, but talk to us about why it's up there.
Well, I'm going to call it a half play because it's going to share the same spot with another team that I'm not going to get super into, but it's kind of a repeat of last week in terms of the pick. So, yeah, I mean, this is a team that, these are the the decisions that can be really hard in betting for a lot of people out there. Everyone out there is a fan of whatever team or teams. I know a lot of people personally that will just fade their own team, like more than you probably should. Then we all know the person that plays their team every week. So don't do that. All right.
Yeah.
So here, with that being said,
That's how you lose a lot. As a Falcons fan, trust me, that is how you lose a lot of money.
well, yeah. So I don't know about that one firsthand, but I believe you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just growing up with this team since I could walk essentially into the stadium, I've been going to the games there. Although since I moved out west, I haven't been to a game at Carter Finley in forever. But at any rate, I mean, they've been really good this season. I think they're kind of flying in on a lot of statistical metrics as a team. They're kind of like middle of the road. But in terms of like the really key stuff, like third down defense, I mean, this is like such a noisy stat, but like you think about why like a lot of drives are getting stopped short and they're forcing field goals when they get themselves in tough positions at critical points in the game. They have the best third down conversion rate of any defense in the country right now. That's just one thing about the Wolfpack I like. Historically as fans, you and I know this, all too often they kind of tend to be a mediocre, like solid but mediocre program overall. They get a lot of players in the NFL. They're known for QBU and all this. And even, most recently, Aleem McNeil's in the NFL on the Lions now. But they're just they're known for that letdown spot, especially off a big game or a big win, like say against Clemson, which we now know is not really as big a win as people think. Because Clemson, let me put it this way, I'm really looking hard at Syracuse tomorrow, and I might throw that in as my Friday night just on the side for myself, but I'll let people out there know about that. If you can catch, I think, a 2-score for Syracuse, I kind of like that line all right. So at any rate, yeah, they're this is kind of a letdown spot. On the road all time, we're looking at a team that's 3-7 at Boston College all time. So they don't have the most like success at Chestnut Hill. This line was sitting at 2.5, and I scooped it up then inside of the field goal because that's a pretty nice key number.
That's a huge. I mean, like we talked about this last show, and we'll get into a show where we kind of talk about lines and the numbers and key numbers and the line movement. In a game like this, which I'll get into why I'm, on my stance of it, that half a point is huge. It's ginormous, but keep going.
Yeah, I mean, if it's tied going fourth quarter, they kick the field goal to win it. There's a really high chance of that in this game for either team. I also will say I wouldn't fault anyone for taking the BC side at all. Just saying, hey, they're at home. I see a plus on them. I look at the game as a coin flip, and I understand you, Mr. Better out there, wherever you're coming from on that. However, all that the reasons I'm backing NC State this week. Got these two running backs, Person and Bam Knight. Together, they're averaging about 160 yards collectively in a game. I look at this as a plus matchup against Boston College's front seven. I know people are like, oh, there's seven. They're had it on here. They're ranked a little lower than NC State's defense, which is also a really good defense. So I don't really see a lot of points being scored in the game. If you want to go with the total, haven't looked too much at it, but probably a lower scoring game. Check the weather too. I've watched it all week. It's kind of been hovering around like double digit 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. It might be kind of soggy and cold fall weather up in Boston. So you want to keep your eye on that. That stadium tends to get kind of nasty. The weather can get kind of gross there with like wind blowing in. As a factor, you need 15 mile an hour winds for that to be a factor generally. But yeah, this is in the air. Also, NC State is superior in my opinion. Just the quarterback side, Leary is in the top 20, I think, in the country, top 30. He's got a really, really high efficiency rating. He's thrown 12 touchdown passes, only 2 picks all season long. He's completing about 70% of his passes. Boston College has a backup quarterback here, and I do think NC State's defensive front is going to get to him. They also are very good at creative blitz packages and dialing those up from a coordinator standpoint, like the UTEP defense is. They remind me of one another. Boston College is solid on D2, but I think State's a little better. I think BC has probably the most edge in the special teams, which is like a really small part of this, and the fact they're playing at home. If it's going to go to like -5 NC State, which I don't think it will, it's been kind of stuck on -3. I'd probably get off of it and think about the other side if you're out there looking at it. But for me personally, I took it early in the week, like I said, so I'm rolling with it. -2.5 Wolfpack for a solid unit.
Yeah, so I'll just get into this real quick, and then we'll move on to the plays here. But I'm a Wolfpack fan, so I am out here saying I hope you are right. I hope you are right. I'm not.
I hope so too.
I'm not betting on BC here, but I can't bet on State here either. And there's a couple reasons. First of all, NC State is 2-6 in their last 8 against Boston College. They're 1-6-1 against their spread in the last 8 at Boston College Stadium. They just don't show up well in Boston College. And I get it. And sometimes these don't mean anything. It's a new team, new year, all that stuff. And with them beating Clemson, it should be a new team in a new year. They should come in there ready to roll. But I've seen so many times where State goes up to Chestnut Hill or some other place and they just lay an egg. And it's not even... Yeah, it's not even a numbers thing for me, man. It's just I've watched this team too many times. I feel like it could be a different year, and I feel like they should go in there and win this game. But I think either way, it's going to be a three-point game. I think it's going to be a last second. I don't see any team running away with this game. I hold Jeff Hafley, the Boston College coaches, into very high regard. I think he is one of the up-and-coming coaches in this league. BC is a good school and all. I don't know how much longer they hold on to that guy. Like, I see him moving. I'm serious. He could be a very hot name out there. He does a great job, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He's known for he was the defensive coordinator for Ohio State for a while. So all of that combined, I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's a game for you guys to tune into. Like, if you're just looking for a game to watch, this is a game to watch. This is going to be fun. It's going to be intense. It's going to be a defensive battle. So we'll see what happens. But just for a couple of reasons in mind, I'm staying off of it. But I will definitely be cheering for my guy Dan over there in NC State. All right.
I like my shootouts too, and I like overs as much as anyone. But and I'm that way in a lot of sports, hockey too. But I think this game is going to be kind of lower scoring, but like you said, very entertaining at the same time. It's going to be one of those kind of games, like an in-conference battle. Because you look at it right now, and it's these two teams in Wake Forest, who's undefeated still, really are going to – how is that going to settle in the Atlantic,
Yeah.
in the ACC?
No doubt. Awesome, man. Kayvon Ezami, Dan Hickman. This is college football fighting chance fantasy betting show here. Week 2, well, not week 2, but week 2 for us of the show. Both went 2-1 last week, which was great. Great way to start it off. And we're looking to go 3-0 this week. So without further ado, Dan, you're up, my man. What is your first bet on the board for this week's college football action?
Well, this is a weird one for me because I kind of set it up a little different this week. NC State's like half of it. I already said that one, -2.5, -3 currently, I believe when I last checked. Don't hate you for taking the under if it's like 50 or more. I don't think it's that high, but I haven't seen that. So drum roll, it's just gonna be another week of backing Air Force.
There we go.
All right, so I don't have too much on this, but this team is surging in about basically every statistical metric. Like, they're running the ball, they're throwing the ball, they're super balanced. They're a truly balanced offense. Watching that game last week, and I watched nearly the whole game last week against Wyoming. Wyoming's a team I actually had a lot of respect for and was fairly high on coming into this season. They kind of made me start to disrespect Wyoming, which is frankly saying a lot. And I actually live around here, and I tend to go the other way with Air Force, but I'm on board right now. At Boise State Boise State is not stopping anyone. It's just like it's a defense like getting run over by a dump truck. That's how I see that playing out. Let me see. I had another note on Air Force here. I don't have too much on it. It was at -3.5. Have you seen? You shot that line too, right, Kayvon? Did you?
Yeah, I mean that started at 5.5. So that baby is the bettors are backing you on that. That started at Air Force plus 5.5. That has been falling like the sky, man. And this is why, to just piggyback what you're saying, you said exactly. Boise State is absolutely atrocious in stopping the run, and all Air Force does is run the ball. We all know the option, the way they do it. Look, when you run the type of formation that Air Force runs, it's either you better be really good at tackling or it's to the house every single time pretty much. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. And I just don't think, look, Boise State, they were outgained in yards, time of possession, everything last week against BYU. BYU just fumbled the ball a couple times in their own side of the half. Like, yeah, they shot, they were on this 2-yard line. They went for fourth down. They couldn't get it. Like, they just shot themselves in the foot. This Boise State team is not a good team. I'm with you. Look, even though it started at 5, I would take Air Force money line. Like, I think Air Force wins this game outright. And I'm not saying to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, your play is plus 3.5, but this is
I agree with that. I wouldn't hate anyone out there for also adding a small on the money line.
Yeah,
a little more risky. Or if you are, I don't really recommend parlays, but if I do them like a small one every week, I tend to do a really small one. And I'm looking around this week for, different options. That is going to be one of them. I saw last time I checked, it was plus 170. It's probably like hovering around plus 150 land right now. They are also like top 20 in the nation in rushing success. I'm sure of that. Mm-hmm. Boise State is down near the bottom in tackling, defensive line, like we've been talking about. They do the one thing Boise State has going for them is they have that, I can't remember his name, but they have that one stud wide receiver who's a big time NFL prospect. You might know his name. I don't know. But you'll notice if you watch him. I think he's healthy still. Yeah, plus 3.5 is what I got that one at, actually. I took that one a couple days ago. I think I like it up to you said it was let me check real quick.
It's starting out at 5.5.
It's like plus 5.5 now?
No. It's dropped now. I mean, I doubt you could find plus 5.5 now. Are you good? Should I move on to mine?
Hang on one second. I gotta make sure I got this right. I'm looking up at my other screen. Just gonna check that line. Let's see, Air Force. Yeah, it's plus 5.5. I kind of missed the boat on the juiciest piece of the pie or whatever you want to call it there, because I took it like an idiot. I took it at plus 3.5 and I didn't wait for the plus 5.5. It's kind of moving for Boise being bigger favorites now, which makes me like it even more, to be honest. If we can get 6, that's a big number to be able to get there. We're at plus 5.5 right now. So if you're out there and you maybe feel like you missed out on a play that you really wanted, it's Thursday night, Friday night going into the weekend, I feel really strongly that's a good one to keep your eye out on. So it's plus 6. That's a really nice number, and I would jump on that for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's awesome. Really all I got on it.
Good stuff. All right. Moving over to my first play of the week here. I am going with, now, this is a game here that I absolutely love the situation it's in, and it's because everyone is going to hate what I'm about to say here. And that is Texas A&M minus 8.5 at Missouri. Now, right away, the over-under in this game is 59.5, and right away, a lot of people sit here and say, Kayvon, what are you doing? I mean, this Texas A&M just came off, and for all of you that are new to betting, this is what you would call usually what I would do in a game like this is a old school handicap trick where you automatically fade the team that just had a massive win, maybe the biggest win in their program history. I mean, this win for Texas A&M is huge. For Jimbo Fisher, it's huge. And so usually I would come in here and I would fade the heck out of Texas A&M. But not so fast, as the great Lee Corso likes to say, not this week. I am taking Texas A&M minus 8.5 at Missouri, and this is why. Missouri is awful. Yeah. This has nothing to do with Texas A&M. This has everything to do with Missouri. Missouri is one of the worst football teams in the Power 5. They give up points like it's their job. They've given up 35 points to Kentucky, 41 points to a backup quarterback in Boston College, 62 points to Tennessee at home, not in Tennessee, at home. And then they gave up 35 points to a North Texas team where it took them the last 2 possessions to finally pull away from that game last week. Missouri is not a good team at all. Texas A&M is littered with NFL talent. That defense shut down Bama for a reason. Now, Bama, if you watch that game, they made a lot of stupid mistakes. They had a lot of issues, but they shut down Bama for the first part of it because that defense is legit. The problem with Texas A&M all season has been their offense. Their offense has been really bad since their starting quarterback got hurt in week 2 against Colorado of the season. Since then, they've struggled, but I think they're starting to find a groove. I think Jimbo, who's a really good coach, is finally getting under this backup quarterback's skin. He's starting to really get him playing well. And I just think that there's too much talent on this Texas A&M side to go in there and lose, to go in there and not beat the brakes out of a Missouri team. Look, again, it's not a popular opinion. This is the number 1 spot to fade Texas A&M. But I'm going with the opposite. And sometimes you got to think outside the box to win the money here. And I'm rolling with Texas A&M minus 8.5 against a terrible, terrible Missouri football team. Dan?
Well, I think you kind of talked me into that. Once I remembered they were playing Missouri,
that's why
it all started coming back to me.
Yeah, I texted you guys. It's all about Missouri. It's literally has everything to do with Missouri, man. They're just, if you've watched Missouri this year, I mean, to lose to get scored on by Tennessee, who's not a terrible team, but by 62 points, like this is what they've been doing all season. I just think Texas A&M is way too talented, and I'm going to stick to that, and I'm going to roll with them for my first pick. Texas A&M minus 8.5. Dan, back to you, my man, at Dan H720. What do you got for your next play?
Yeah, sure. So I think this should be pretty popular. I'm taking Cincinnati. I'm actually taking the team total on this one, and I don't do these very often. That's how strongly I feel about this Bearcats team. If they played in another conference like the SEC, would we be talking about 3 teams maybe making that playoff out of that conference if they're lumped in with the Bamas and the Georgias? It's possible. Unfortunately for this team, they play in I forget what is it called. It eluded me. They're not in a major conference. So it's
you talking about Cincinnati?
Yeah,
they play in the American.
The American, that's right. So if they were in a stronger conference or had a stronger schedule, I really think it would be better for them to make the playoff because I do think they're good enough to be in a 4-team playoff.
Real quick, with what's happening this season, with now Bama losing, with Florida losing a couple times, with Clemson being out, this is the best possible chance for a non-Power 5 conference team to make it, and Cincinnati knows that, and that's why they're ranked number 3 right now. Look, they beat Notre Dame. They took care of their business. Now they need Notre Dame to keep winning. They can't let Notre Dame fall apart and that be a bad win. But they went into Notre Dame's house, beat them. They have a legit chance, but like you said, they have to keep rolling. They can't skim by any games. They've got to
throat stomp every opponent.
Everyone.
Not take the foot off the gas in the second half. So these are the recipe things, like narrative-wise, that you want to hear about, that you want to know. when you're looking at taking a team total in a game, or even like, if you're looking at halves or something like that, I really like this team overall, but I really like them in terms of I really like the -20, like 3 touchdown spread. If you can get it, jump on that because it's already moving. I missed the boat on that. I've been really busy this week with work, but I was able to get that team total a little while ago. I found it over 38.5. I see a lot of over 40. At that point, I'm probably off. This team's averaging 41 points per game.
Yeah, it's incredible.
There's just, to me, it's a very straightforward sort of play. This UCF team is also 81st nationally overall out of like 130 FBS teams or whatever. They're giving up 365.8 yards on average per game. So, if I could, I threw this in here. If there was a prop for like over 400, 450, 500 yards for Cincinnati in total offense at even money, I would pile like 2 units on that sucker. It's a no-brainer. It's gonna happen. Enjoy it. I wish the best for this team. They deserve it if they run the table like I think they're going to. But unfortunately, like the landscape of college football with only 4 teams in the playoff, if there was 6, they'd for sure get in. It's probably going to bite them at the end, especially if Notre Dame starts losing, like you said.
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to be tough. They have to have some things fall in their way, but the only way they have a chance is if they keep doing what they've been doing, just like you said. And look, a lot of people look at Cincinnati and they think, oh, this Cincinnati has NFL talent on their team. They have players that are going to be going in the first round, in the second round. Their quarterback, Desmond Ridder, he is going to be and drafted in the NFL. Like, they have NFL talent. Their coach is great. I love that play. I like this Cincinnati team a lot. They've made me a lot of money this season already. All right, moving on here to my second play of the week. I'm going with a game, a type of bet that I don't usually like to do because just like Dan said, I'm an over kind of guy as well. I like to make money. That's the most thing, obviously, but I don't usually like to sit there and root for an under in a college football game. But this one, I couldn't resist. Yeah, I couldn't resist. And this is the under 45 in the Northwestern and Rutgers game. Now, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this line is moving. So if you like this bet, take it because I've already seen it at 44.5. I've already seen it at 44 in a lot of places now. So this line is really dropping. It's very simple. This is one of those games where I was going to say I like the under before I even knew what the line was. Like whatever the line was going to be, I was going to take the under. But then when it came out and I saw it was 45, I licked my lips and I said, oh, I'm smashing this under. First of all, these are 2 teams that have terrible offenses, 2 teams that are not having a great season, 2 teams that haven't won a game yet in the Big Ten. Rutgers, so far this season, they've actually been a decent football team, but they can't score touchdowns. They cannot score. Their Achilles heel is they always get down and they always drive down the field and they never finish it off with touchdowns. It's been their problem the whole time, and they're going to continue that. And while I do like Greg Schiano, and I think he's doing a good job with this program, and I think he's going to do a good job with this program, they're heading in the right direction. This game is just an ugly game. Northwestern is a very bad football team right now this year. They've got a good coach as well, and he'll bounce them back, but this year's just not their year. They're playing at Northwestern, and this is the kicker right here. For those that don't know about Northwestern, they have very tall grass for some reason. It's much taller than normal fields. It's really weird. But the main thing is the game. Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. Players have always complained that playing at Northwestern, it's harder for them to run. The grass is taller. It's a very odd thing. It slows them down. So it's a big thing going on in college football. But this is the main thing here. By game time on Saturday, 12 o'clock, the wind is going to be projected to be 15 to 17 miles per hour coming off the Lake Erie right there. Look, this game is just an under all day. Give me the under 45 Northwestern Rutgers. I don't even need to say anything else. I think this goes way under the total. Dan, what do you got for your third pick?
You got me sold on all of yours as always. I mean,
I love it.
Literally while you're talking about that, I'm over here looking up like all my lines and like any kind of edge on anything I can find, and that one's still sitting right out there on I can name a few legal books, right?
Yeah.
That one's still sitting out on MGM was one of them.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's
at 45, and Bet Rivers at 45, 44.5 on like FanDuel points and Caesars. Those are some of the ones I can shop here. So I mean, and it reminds me of this, like, just to get off topic for a second, like one of the I don't like betting NFL like you do with your NFL show betting.
Yeah.
It's actually starting to help me get better with NFL, but one of my NFL angles that I love is when there's that lake effect wind, and I don't know what the name of the Brown Stadium is.
Yeah.
But when you can get a good forecast like a few days ahead or so, and that total is just higher than it should be, ooh man, that's been bread and butter.
It's money. It's money, dude.
Times for me.
Yeah.
So another thing, yeah. So are we down to our favorites here?
Yeah, we are now. You're right. So this is it, man. Good call on that. I lost track here. So when you're having fun like this, man, the time just flies by. It's been almost.
Do we want to talk about any fringe plays? Like we've kind of like NC State, you could argue is for you. Like for me, it's like kind of my third out of my 3, 2, 1. It's the I don't want to say least desirable, but like I definitely like Air Force in my favorite more so.
Yeah, so we can do that. I have a play. First of all, Air Force was also one of my fringe plays, so I'm on you with that. I have a play here that is this is what I like to call a stinker, man. This is one of those plays where if you had to go bet it old school, and what I mean by old school, if you have to walk into a casino and actually bet it. Now with all these apps, luckily we don't have to do that. This is one of those plays where you put a hoodie on, you maybe put some sunglasses. You don't want people to see you make this bet because it's an ugly one, right? It's an ugly one. But you know what it is? It's Arizona +7 against Colorado.
Yeah.
Look, I don't give a damn who Arizona's playing. Colorado does not deserve to be 7-point favorites against any team other than maybe UMass and Connecticut. And even then, I don't even know if they should be 7-point favorites. Like Colorado is a terrible football team. They're a bad football team, and Arizona is really
shut out by Minnesota. I live in Colorado. I could tell you how bad that team is.
There you go. Exactly. They're not good, man. They lost their coach, Mel Tucker, who's doing a phenomenal job over at Michigan State. And I know that was a tough spot for fans out in Colorado by the way he left and all that stuff. But Colorado's having a really rough year. They have not covered anything they've done. They even didn't cover their week 1 against Northern Colorado when they were like 45-point favorites, and they still could barely get a big lead in that game until the end of the game. So they're
FCS, right?
Yeah, they're FCS.
Yeah, and Greeley. Yeah, that's just unfathomable to me how bad CU really has become. I think I'd rather back any of the other schools in the state, literally.
No doubt. Especially when especially like you live there, man. Like Colorado's an attractive place. Like you could really recruit there. I mean, you can sell Colorado to students. And Mel Tucker was doing a good job. I do think if they can get the right person in there, it can do it. It's like Colorado State, man. They're a pretty good team. They just gotta get. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, I think right now probably Air Force is playing the best right now, and that could change in 3 weeks. But
I agree.
Until then, this is kind of anticlimactic because I'm going right back to the well with my favorite this week, none other than the freaking UTEP Miners. Yeah, you can tell I'm excited. All right.
And wait. So this is your lock of the week, right?
this is I don't use that word. I'm a little superstitious about that
Okay.
word.
This is your fighting chance best bet of the week.
It's my best bet. It's my favorite. I personally have 1.5, 2 units on it right now. If depending on how it moves, I might sprinkle a little more on there. I don't mind using them as a parlay piece too, along with Air Force this week. If you're trying to build something there, like a 3, a 4, or 5 line, can find some good value on both of those teams. So just to pull up my write up, here, one sec. Got a little lost there. All right. This UTEP team just keeps getting better. Just when you think they can't get any better, they're actually this offense, I haven't seen a team they've played all season that can truly stop them. Not Boise, but they ended up losing that game. But they're 9th in yards per play in the whole country. They're like 9th in scoring, points per game at 41 points per game right now. So if you're looking to target a team total, other than Cincinnati, you could even sprinkle a little something on that too, quarter, half unit, whatever you like to do as a fractional. And let's see. Wait, I'm sorry. I was looking at my Cincinnati notes. I totally messed that up. Just scratch all of that. All right. No Cincinnati. I'm going to highlight it so I don't mess that up. So sorry out there. Yeah. So they're going to be playing Louisiana Tech, a team that we saw our favorite team, NC State, play the week after they beat Clemson. Louisiana Tech has a really good offense. Like, they can definitely put points on the board too. So if someone's looking to target the total of this game, I haven't looked at that either, but you could definitely consider that. Looking into it. It'd probably be a pretty fun over. I think if it's not anything like way over 60, like more like closer to 50, it's probably going to be fun and probably pretty nice edge to just go ahead and take the over there. Hardison, their quarterback, has just been lights out. I think his stock might be going up with like a chance to play in the NFL. I really, truly mean that for UTEP. They're 31st overall in passing success. They're also they've got 2 different running backs that are very effective that they use. I think their yards per carry are also really impressive. It's like 4 or 5 in that range. Does that sound familiar? Like my first play of the week?
Yep.
And to top it all off, with Louisiana Tech, they're bottom 20 in basically all run and pass statistics. UTEP is going to be – and then when Louisiana Tech has the ball, get ready for this. I'm actually more entertained. As fun as it is to watch UTEP's offense, I'm equally as intrigued watching their defense. This defense overall is 4th in the whole country against the run. It's like a top 20 like tackling graded team. To top it all off, it's not some bonehead coach calling like just over the top blitzes that are predictable for teams to just go over the top with. Like, he's sending someone different every time, and when you're playing against that, they don't know like where it's coming, but they know that the blitz is coming, and it just gets in their head. You can tell as the game goes on, these teams get tired. They get rattled against this UTEP defense. I have not really seen any team that can just manhandle them up front. And for that reason, I love it. I mean, it was like I took it around +7. So if you can get anything better than that, by all means, do it. I think I would take it down to +3.5. And if you haven't seen the double fumble strip for the touchdown, you're truly missing out in life.
Yeah, no,
definitely go watch that from last week.
It's wild.
And now I want to hear about your favorite play.
No doubt, man. Great stuff. There it is. UTEP as his fighting chance best bet of the week. Love it, man. All right, for my favorite play of the week here, I am going with the chalk of all chalk. I'm going with the simplest play on the board. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you just don't need to overthink it. All right? And this is a money maker and has been a money maker for this man's entire career. And that is Alabama -17 Nick Saban off a loss against Mississippi State. This is now desperation time for Alabama.
Oh yeah.
Foot on the pedal. You can't screw up. Look, we've seen Alabama in this situation before. If they go and win out, they're going to be right in the playoff. And a couple years ago, they did that and they won the whole thing. Like, Nick Saban's not panicking. He knows all he has to do is win out, and that's pretty easy for a team that with Nick Saban. It's going to be hard because of Georgia, but that will come at the SEC championship game. So they're not panicking here. But what he does know is there's no way in hell they can lose again. And he has that team locked in and ready to roll. Nick Saban, he has a phenomenal record against the spread. And another part of this game that I love is also their first half. Their first half is -10. Alabama -10. They're going to come out on fire in this game. They're going to come out pissed off. And I frankly feel bad for Mississippi State because just for unfortunate luck, they had to be the ones that get Alabama off a loss. And this is the first loss in 2 years for Nick Saban because they didn't lose last year with all that talent they had. So this is going to be a team where, and look, the Tide heavily outgained Texas A&M last week, but they self-inflicted wounds that ended up killing them. They were inside the 3-yard line. They threw an interception. They didn't get any points. They were inside the 5-yard line. They went away with 3 points instead of that. And credit to Texas A&M, but Texas A&M has players that are going to be drafted all over the board when the NFL draft comes. Mississippi State has some good players, but they don't have the talent, nor do they have the coach that Texas A&M has. Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher has been wanting to beat Nick Saban his whole damn career. All he does is talk about it. He finally got this chance. Nick Saban is not going to lose to Mike Leach. He's going to destroy them. It's going to be a fun game for Alabama. They're going to get all their steam out. They're going to get all their emotions out. They're going to go out there and just dominate. Bryce Young will end up probably playing 3.5 quarters. And this is the one thing about what I do actually love in a game like this. A lot of people worry about a backdoor because they lost. Nick Saban's not going to take his foot off the pedal. He's going to make sure that they win every game in style from here on out because he knows now it's not an easy way into the playoff. He has to work for it if he wants to get back in the playoff. He, just like Cincinnati now, he has to make it look good. He has to destroy these SEC teams. I'm all over. It's a big number. Usually I don't like laying big numbers, but with Nick Saban and Alabama and this team, give me Alabama -17 all day of the week here. I'm all over that play. What do you think about that, Dan?
I absolutely love it. I mean, you could talk all you want about boring, but when boring makes you money, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to join you on that. I actually regret not already getting that in there. I've been doing that more weeks often than not. Unfortunately, I did it last week too, which is like the one time it hasn't worked. But and specifically those the first half spreads for Bama.
It's been
I forget if you Google Nick Saban against the spread in first half, it is absolutely astounding. Like
it's nuts.
I mean, and the other thing that when you were talking about this, the thing that kept coming to my mind was just a gif of, or a video of like your favorite boxer. I guess in my era, it was like Mike Tyson or Holyfield, just sitting there with a speed bag.
Yeah.
Well, Mississippi State is that little speed bag that's just getting bopped every 2 seconds this week.
Yeah. It's nothing against Mississippi State. It's just a loss.
I mean, we saw our team flounder in Starkville earlier in the season. Sure, part of me would love to see them lose really bad to anyone, but I mean, I don't really care. I get vengeful. I mean, it's an air raid offense. It's
Nick Saban knows how to coach against that offense.
I don't think that's going to work against Bama's defense. It's going to be a little too cute. I love the play. I think that's a really good call there. Yeah,
and one last thing. Also, Mississippi State is not a good football team. They average under 3.25 yards a carry, and this is one thing that I found here. Nick Saban is 8-1 against the spread against teams that average under 3.25 yards per carry. So, just to lay it on there, I predict this final score being somewhere like 48-8, 48-10, like some type of thing like that. Like I just think it's going to be 48-10 type game, you know? I mean, I haven't even looked at this, but I would even look at possibly the team total under for Mississippi State if you want to get all tricky with it. Like, I just think there's so many ways you can play this. I think Alabama just throttles them.
I totally agree with that. I don't know about quite that dramatic of a score, but pretty close. I mean, I will touch on one last thing from like last week that I'm meant to kind of recap was I was talking about points betting, like BYU. I didn't actually end up doing that, thankfully. Just kind of recap my point on those. Definitely go small, like quarter units, smaller, 10th unit. Like if you're going to do something like that, kind of the same with parlays. I always recommend keeping that stuff small to zilch. This week, your play that you just mentioned kind of is tempting to do something like that with, like make a small play on it, but on points bet. So if they end up smoking them against the spread, like you were saying, we're doing great. And if we risk not very much, if it whiffs, which I can't even imagine, but if it does, very minimal loss there.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Dan, give me your 3 picks again, what you got this week. Go through them real quick to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do that. So real quick, I NC State -2.5, -3 at Boston College. That game's Saturday. My other, we'll call it 3B, is Air Force. They're +5.5 right now, I think, +5. I took them like a clown at +3.5. My second play is Cincinnati team total. I took it over 38.5. That one's hard to find. I would shut it down at probably right there, 38.5, 39. If you can catch the spread around -21 on the nose or less, -20, 20.5, hard to do, but definitely try to do that. And then my number 1 play of the week is, again, UTEP +7. Let me see where they're currently at before I hand it over to you. Always like to see these lines live. I have it up on my screen here. +6.5. You can catch UTEP +6.5 right now. So I mean, you can. That's fine. I think that's actually what I took them at as well. And you can find them at +7. I think some shops too. If I click on this, it'll tell me. Oops, let's get rid of that. I liked your under call that she'll be bringing up here again. But yeah, +6.5. We don't have +7 just yet. But it opened at 5.5, I think, for UTEP.
All right.
Yep.
Perfect, man. Good stuff there. Dan Hickman, follow him on Twitter at DanH720. And real quick, mine is Texas A&M -8.5. Got the Wolfpack shirt on. I see you. Texas A&M -8.5. I know a lot of people think they're going to be slow off the big old win. No. They're going to come out and just destroy a terrible Missouri game. Under 45, Northwestern and Rutgers playing in Chicago. Going to be very cold and windy. And for my best bet, I'm rolling with the Tide, baby. Alabama -17. I probably will play the first half as well, but this show's official bet is Alabama -17. That is it. Dan, do you have any last things you want to say before we wrap it up here?
Best of luck, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you're just following for the first time, as it is very new, definitely please give us a like. It goes a long way. We appreciate it. Thanks for taking time out of your week to spend a little time with us, and all the best out there. Shop those lines before you just smack them, and sweat and enjoy some games this weekend. And let's go Pack.
No doubt, and no doubt about it, man. Let's go Pack. And one thing I always say on the NFL show I do, and this, a lot of people have taken me up on this, and I love it. Reach out to us on Twitter if you have a question about one of our plays. If you have a question about a play that you like and you want us to answer it for you, our DMs are open. Reach out to us on Twitter. We will always respond. I always do it on the NFL show. I've gotten some great feedback, some great people responding. We will do it here too. It doesn't have to be one of the games we talk about. If it's just a game that you want our opinion on, let us know. Or if it's one of the games we talk about, that's it too. It's at DanH720 and at Kayvon_sports. That is it for the Fighting Chance Fantasy College Football Sports Betting Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, that's Dan Hickman. I'm Kayvon Ezami, and we'll be back next week for some more college football bets. Let's go win, baby.